Monday, March 23rd, and we are at the Arvin Education Center for our regularly scheduled board meeting. Any changes to the agenda, Ms. Harold?
No, ma'am.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda made by Ms. Sheffer, seconded by Ms. Hunley? All those in favor? And that's 5-0. And if everyone could please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. We're going to get started this afternoon with a facilities update. Mr. Bohannon?
And Brent, it may be easier too, when you do facilities update, I know there are several items on consent. Maybe if you kind of go through those two before we get to consent might make that easier.
Sure. Okay.
The new podium.
Yeah, check
I
it
like
out.
that.
Included in your packet is the facilities construction report for March 2026. We've also have a couple guests with us tonight that are going to present a couple presentations on the larger projects that we have under construction at this time. But if you would like, I can go through the facilities items on the consent agenda real quick, and then we'll get into the presentations. And then feel free to stop me at any time if y'all have any questions about that. Facility items in the consent items are B1 through 8, with one emergency declaration for the Harmony Elementary water main break that we experienced a couple weeks ago. This will get if you all remember, we had to make some arrangements and get some contractors out there in pretty short notice. So this gives us the ability to take care of that and assign that work as needed to get that repaired and back up and school back up and operational as quick as possible. Number 2, to approve initiate the district facility planning process. Our district facility plan is due in February of 2027. For those of you who've been involved in that process in any shape, you know that's a lengthy process of approvals going between the local Board of Education and the state. KDE is involved in the first part of initiating that project. So this enclosure will give us the opportunity to initiate that with KDE so that they can start to get that ball rolling. And then subsequent after that, each month we'll have updates or local planning committee selection process, and we'll keep you up to date on that as we go. Item 3, approval of initial BG1 and architect selection for the Oldham County Middle School roof replacement. That roof is currently out of warranty, and it's time to, we've reached the end of its life cycle, and time to begin planning to replace that. Number 4, approval of the initial BG1 for North Oldham High School Stadium Building Improvements Project. This is some interior and exterior work on the buildings at North Oldham High School, kind of a next round of improvements out there associated with what we've already done to the stadium. Approval of BG1 of demolition of condemned structures at various locations. There's several structures that we have on vacant property or adjacent property that the board owns that have come dilapidated over the years, and we've got some concerns. We want to get those taken down. The picture barn on Moody, and then some structures on the Brownsboro property that, for example. Approval and, we on here, number 6, approval of the revised BG1 award of contract for Oldham County Elementary School site and playground improvements, Phase 3. This is for the work that we bid out on last Thursday. There was a supplemental originally in your packet, and we've updated that, so you should have the current update in there that has the bid results on that and the recommendation. This is for work at Oldham County Preschool, Buckner, some additional work at Harmony Elementary School, and Crestwood, additional playground structure at Crestwood Elementary as well. Approval of the BG4 for the emergency restroom renovations package at Oldham County High School. That was the work we did on the 84 wing restroom over the summer. We're closing that project out. And then finally, line item number 8 there is approval of change orders for South Oldham High School. And then, like I said, if you all just want to reference your construction report, let me know if you have any questions. And I'd like to go ahead and get into the presentations, if that's okay with you all.
Mm-hmm.
All right. First up, we have Cameron Mathis with Weir Construction. Weir Construction is working on South Oldham High School.
Perfect.
Good
Good to
afternoon.
see you again.
Good to see you all too. Like you said, for those of you all that don't know me, I'm Cameron Mathis. I'm the project manager on South Oldham. I'll try to make this quick. We've got a lot going on out there, so it's hard to condense it all, but I'll try to make it quick. The first slide here, I'll show you all, and excuse me, for those of you on this side, I'm going to point to this one. Phase 1 is the only thing I'm showing here. So this is the Phase 1 site work that we're working on right now. The blue is the Phase 1 renovation portion, and then the red is the Phase 1 addition. And then I'll dive into those phases here on the next slides, but just kind of wanted to give you all an aerial look of Phase 1. The first area we will hit on is the Phase 1 addition. So this is a 38,000 square foot 22 classroom addition on the east wing of the high school. You all can see that we've got foundations poured in the first course of CMU block laid, so it kind of gives you the outline of each classroom. You can also see, and I'll show you closer pictures of the stairwells here that we've prioritized. So again, I know some of you may have not been here when I originally presented the phasing plan. But with the whole school getting a renovation and us adding on 126,000 square foot, there was a lot of phasing logistics and egress concerns to make sure that there were emergency egress routes in place. So we've prioritized these stairwells for future phases, and I'll kind of hit on that and how that gives the students and staff the egress requirements that they need prior to turning over Phase 1. So continuing on with the addition, that picture was kind of old, say a week. The masons are moving pretty quick. So this is the inside of one stairwell. This is another that's topped out. And then this is hydromobile scaffolding along the existing building. So they're going to work their way away from the existing, the masons are. So the first weekend of April, we'll go in and set the stairwells, and then that will again leave us the ability to turn over the renovation portion this summer and move on to the next classroom renovation. We couldn't turn over that first phase of renovations until these stairwells were in place. So we've hit a huge milestone there. We're pretty pumped with the team, but yeah, they're moving on really fast. They're ahead of schedule as of now. This is the renovation, pretty exciting. Again, I'll remind you all that we started in November. So we've gutted this portion of the high school, laid block, walls. All of the overhead and in-wall mechanical, electrical, plumbing, rough ends are complete on the first floor. And then now we have started laying tile in the 2 restrooms. So first floor, second floor, they mimic each other. There's 2 restrooms on the first floor, boys and girls, 2 restrooms on the second floor, boys and girls. So they'll move up to the second floor, and then we'll work our way out of the building. This is the second floor. This just kind of shows the corridor. You can see all those clean rough ends. You can see the walls on both floors are prime and first coat painted. So again, that's tracking pretty well. We're scheduled to turn that over in July, right before August, when the school year starts. And then this is a cool little view of the junior parking lot. It was 118 parking spots. We're converting that, making it bigger. It'll hold about 140. And then what we had to do here, Brent can tell you the logistics since he had to work it out. But this is going to be a permeable paver parking lot. So it'll be pavers, not pavement. So a fairly large parking lot. You can see we're working on drainage to where all of that will shed water appropriately and meet the engineer's needs. So that's a pretty big task there, because Phase 2, we take the senior parking lot, which is a very large parking lot, So we have to get this turned over by August in order to create the parking space that's needed to start the future phases.
Hey, can I ask a question real quick? Sorry. Let me get my karaoke mic out. I'm assuming that that has to be permeable paver because of the rooftop square footage that we're adding. Is that correct? Is that like a KDE thing?
Yes, not just the rooftop, with the addition, but also the addition of any impermeable surface requires that we balance that out with permeable surface so that we're not adding more stormwater downstream.
Right. I just wanted to clarify
Yes.
because people will be like, why are they spending money on a permeable? So
It's,
that's why.
it's required by the county and the Division of Water.
Thank you.
So that we can balance that. It's not my first preference, but that solves the problem.
Great. Thank you.
So, and then this next slide, this is just kind of a aerial 3D spin on the site. And while that's working, are there any questions that you all have for me regarding progress? Good. All right. Well, thank you all.
Yeah, thanks, Cameron.
All right. Any other questions related to South before we move on to Oldham County? Also, just wanted to point out that that with that consent agenda item number 8, that's a very large deductive change order to this project. Having Weir and Ross Tarrant and the Facilities Department working together on getting that, we were able to have a significant tax saving by doing direct purchase for a lot of materials, so that's why you see such a large change order on that. That money goes back into the project so that we can use for future phases and different things that come up during construction. So that's a significant positive, as well as the things that Cam mentioned about where we're moving with the progress of the phases and going into the next phases as well. I was stalling so Tamla could get to the... All right, next up, I'd like to invite Matt Harris with Studio Kramer, who's the architect on the Oldham County High School and Buckner High School addition and renovation project.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us. My name is Matthew Harris, and I also have Richie Hart, who's on our project team as well. Starting off with some of the images you've all seen from...
Can you turn your mic up?
Sorry. Sorry, Brad. Is that better? Is that better?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Some of these renderings you've seen during our design phase, but I wanted to kind of reintroduce the renderings and then show the construction as it relates to the renderings. So this will be your view off of 393 with the new gymnasium, and this is the Buckner addition off to the side. So the existing high school is here at the cafeteria, gymnasium, Buckner, and then Arvin is over here. So moving ahead here, kind of aerial view of the 393 view. So we have, this is your Buckner, the first level of Buckner, and this is the daycare. And this photo was from last week, and they've already started to lay their floor structure for the second floor. If you've seen the cranes out in the next couple of days, you'll see they're laying down the second floor. They're precast concrete panels, so there's no roof joists or anything like that. So they're working on that right now, and we've also got the entrance kind of starting to take shape right here. Sorry. And just for reference, this is a site plan. So this will be all new parking, Buckner, and this is the new entrance off the front. Moving on to this is the gymnasium lobby, and you can start to see that taking shape right here. So this is the concessions opening, and this will be the front of the building right here. So that's starting to take shape as well. And this view is of the gymnasium, and kind of a panoramic view as if you're standing on one of these platforms. And sorry, it's shaking right there because I'm a little too far away. But the view is like if you're standing right there of the basketball floor. Moving on to the Buckner, got some views. This is the Buckner addition, and this is the little girls' daycare, which You can see the daycare right here, and then there's Buckner. And the yellow that you're seeing on there, that's the vapor barrier for the concrete slab. So they're still working on getting that ready. So I think the floor slabs will probably be poured for those in the next week or so. And that's just another view of Buckner, but looking from 393. So this will be the main entrance to Buckner. Here's your two multi-purpose rooms, and then this is more admin space over here to the side. This will be the view of the gymnasium from Colonel's Drive, if you're from the tennis courts or the baseball field. What's cool about this image is you can kind of see this is your weight room on the lower level, and the upper level is the student section seating, and then the playground for the daycare is off to the side. So you can kind of see that starting to take shape here as well. This will be the playground. This is the student section and weight room area. Just another angle of that. You can kind of start to see those bleachers taking shape with that steel in place. Those will also be the precast panels. Those are actually going to be delivered maybe next week. Those, you'll see those starting to take shape as well. And then here's a view, a rendering of the weight room underneath the bleachers. So you can kind of see that's what that yellow area is going to be. That'll be the weight room. And I did a video as well, just to kind of.
What that looks like yet. We are currently having engineers survey that property to see, once that roadway comes through there, what that may look like. If you know the area I'm talking about, it's not an ideal area, so I haven't really waved that flag around too much because I want to check on the feasibility of that becoming a play surface before we get too far along with that. But basically, between Walmart and Kenwood, it opens up the opportunity. There's about 15 or 20 feet of fall for every 30 feet on that property, so it would be a significant land movement operation to level that off, either on the low end, the high end, or the middle of
Right.
it. So that's what we're currently looking at to see what kind of feasibility that is to create that. And we are looking at a couple of different options on what sports field that may be. If it's not large enough for a soccer field, for example, then what do we move into that area to free up other space to be a soccer field?
Is there enough, I mean, I know it's not on the campus, but is there enough room that we own where we were talking about possibly putting an art center before behind Crestwood Elementary School? Is there enough space there?
I'm sorry, I missed where?
Behind Crestwood Elementary School? Is there enough room there for a second field?
Once the art center's no longer there?
Behind Crestwood Elementary School?
There's not enough room in the field where Crestwood used to sit, if that's what you're asking.
Yes.
Yeah, because we have there's a creek that runs through the back of there that kind of splits that. And if you can picture where you're out there, where our playground kind of wraps around that way,
Right.
where their cross-country course is there, no, it's not big enough for a second field venue where you would have seating and concessions and all of that stuff.
Gotcha.
Another potential would be if the art center parking area, we're no longer an art center parking lot. That could be a potential location as well.
Because currently South has one field for all the
Yes.
athletics.
Correct.
Yes, we have one turf field.
Correct.
One field in general, not just.
Correct. Yes, that you can play anything on.
You following what I'm saying there?
Yeah, I just can't picture enough property there to put a field
I think
on
where
it,
the
but-
entire parking lot is, that probably
Oh,
is-
and if you leveled the actual,
yeah.
okay, I
So that
understand.
area there, there'd be a little bit of a pinch point at the kitchen cafeteria area at Crestwood, but it would take some doing that. You could probably fit a secondary field into that location if it was to be off campus.
Gotcha. And when are we making the art center announcement, Brent? When is that coming?
As soon as we have the opportunity to present something to you all that is written in stone or signed.
So, who are we waiting on at this point?
Closing.
Okay.
Very soon. It's legal, right? we're waiting on
I
legal.
promised somebody I wouldn't blame it on the
Okay.
attorneys.
We can blame legal.
Yeah, as soon as we close on that piece of property, then
Are they in this room? Is that who we're waiting? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yes.
can you see them now?
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Hey, Brent, one quick question. I know there's a lot going on, but did you get my message about the lights on the flags?
I did. I'll take a look at that.
Okay.
I don't know if we have power at those locations that you were asking about,
Okay.
but we'll take a look.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, moving right along, Ms. Alexander for the treasurer's report. Welcome.
All right, this is, the treasure report is actually for February, and we'll start off with report number 1. The report gives you a summary of all of our cash accounts for all of our funds. You can see we're in our 8th month of reporting. We have 4 months left to complete this school year. We are in the time of year that our receipts are starting to slow down and our expenditures are start to escalate as we come to the last quarter of the year. You can see that our receipts for the governmental funds were $8.7 million, and the disbursements for the month were $14.3 million, which left our ending balance at $207.6 million in the governmental funds. And the total ending balance of all the cash accounts over $216.9 million. We do have the breakdown there underneath with our bonded construction fund with a balance of $138.6 million and $17.1 million in our investment account. And then if you go over to report number 2, it has a little bit more detail and it breaks down the cash totals for all the funds. That includes our general fund with a $35.7 million. And then you have grants, activity funds, capital outlay, building, construction fund. You can see all of those listed separately. That gives us the total cash balance of all the funds of $207.6 million. If you go on to report number 3, which we have our historical actual comparison report, we're on track with our revenues. You can see that we've collected almost 95% of our general property tax. And with our capital outlay, we will receive the remaining revenue in May, and then our SEEK, the remaining of that comes in June. Also in your packet, you have our historical actual report, the balance sheet, and income statement for you to review. Do you have any questions with the reports?
Any questions? Can I get a motion to approve? Made by Mr. Cedillo, seconded by Ms. Hunley. All those in favor? And that's 5-0. Thank you, Carrie. All right, we have 1 meeting minutes to approve. It's just our February 23rd regularly scheduled board meeting. Any questions on that? Can I get a motion to approve? Made by Mr. Springer, seconded by Ms. Hunley. All those in favor, and that's 5-0. And next up, personnel actions.
Those are just for your advisement. They are listed through February.
We'll take those under advisement. And then consent items. Any questions on consent items? I know Brent went through many of those. Can I get a motion to approve those? Made by Ms. Hunley, seconded by Mr. Cedillo. All those in favor, and that's 5-0. And then superintendent reports.
Action item A, or item A, is just going to be our audit report that we're going to have come up to us in just a few minutes on an action item. And then item B is an update to policy 05.31. It's a procedure form .21 for food services, kitchens, rental agreement. There's just a word that's been struck from that. Everything else remains the same. That was the only change in that one as well. That is it.
Any questions on those? Are we ready for our student showcase? Yes? Welcome. We're excited to have you all here. Always.
Happy to be here. Good afternoon.
Hi.
So for our student showcase, we really wanted to highlight the social emotional growth and development of our peacocks this year. So that said, we will let our video take it from here.
thank you to our preschool for that. We're going to have to make a visit to see Fernando. All right, we're going to move along to our recognitions. Do you want to help out? I know, I saw, your son's being recognized. Do you mind to help? Are you okay with that? No.
Yes. How are you? Good evening. We have a lot of student athletes to recognize this evening, so let me first start off by saying my normal disclaimer. If I butcher your name, I apologize, but we want to get to it. What we will do is I'm going to kind of break it down into categories. When we get to wrestling, obviously we'll call your name and you'll just filter up, and then we'll do applause at the end because we had a lot of state recognition coming from that category. But first, we are going to recognize our students that participated at state for swimming. First, we need to congratulate Oldham County High School student, second place state finish for the 100-yard butterfly, and that is Tucker Bailey. And then you're going to do, you want to do a picture with just Adam? Congratulations. South Oldham High School, we have Kinsley Ramey, second place breaststroke from South Oldham High School. Next, we have our state indoor track and field. We have all three schools that were represented at state this year for indoor. From North Oldham High School, girls indoor track state champion in both the 1,600 and 3,200 meter run. That is Ellie Colgard. Did I say that correctly? Cargold. I knew I did that.
507 and 1120.
Also from North Oldham High School, girls indoor track state runner-up in the 800, Millie Wang. How off was I? What was it? Wrong. Thank you. She's going to stay up here too after this pick. Get your pick. Don't be shy. And Millie is going to stay up here because North Oldham High School also had the 4x800 relay team as state runners-up. With Millie, we have Grace Horan, Audrey Perkins, and Cameron Levins. Oldham County High School Girl 3A State Champions. I'm going to call your names. You all will come up. Emmy Neal, Olivia Jasper, Julianne Fouché, Amelia Houston, Landon Brock, Caitlin Comer, Aubrey Neal, Diana Nava, Savannah Alder, Maggie Bant, Campbell Lane, Keegan McKinney, Bella Dykes, and Emma Johnson. Okay, we're gonna make 2 rows.
We're still going. Aubrey, Diana.
Savannah.
Savannah, Maggie. Keegan. Congratulations. Bella? She's not here. Okay.
She's Emma Johnson in this group. Yes,
Emma Johnson. Oh, great. Congratulations. Olivia, Aubrey.
And then some of them are gonna stay. Okay. Are they ready for your pick? Some of these girls will stay up here because the 400-meter state champion is Olivia Jasper. Come on up and get your pick, Miss Olivia. You all can just stand over to the side because some of you are going to get caught again if you... Olivia, stay up. You're going to be the 400-meter state champion picture. And then 4x4, don't go anywhere. They all went away. And then our girls 4x4 relay state champions are Olivia, Diana, Julianne, and Aubrey. Come back up. And then Miss Aubrey is going to stay with us because she was a second place finish in the 55-meter hurdles and a second place finish in the high jump. South Oldham High School had representation for indoor state track. Second place finish goes to Ellie Gilbert in the long jump. Okay, wrestlers, be ready to come on up. We had several wrestlers come out of Oldham County High School. State champion Tatum Millett, and I'm going to have her come up by herself first. She is a 5-time winner at state wrestling, has earned that title for the 5th year, and has finished her career 79-0 in matches. That's amazing. I would also say, and I might be wrong, so correct me, in wrestling, we've probably only had the girls 5 years. Is that correct in state wrestling? Or has it been have we mixed? Right? So all years of existence, she has been the state champion every year out of the female. It's amazing. That's amazing. Congratulations. That's right. That's huge. In the team state dual champions, back-to-back champions in 3A, state duels would be Robert Alvarado. This is going to be this whole list, right?
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna keep going. Chris Ammon, Zach Ammon, Adam Belling, Ephraim Boa, Miles Brooks, Madden Brown, Jackson Clary, John Collett, Jordan Da Silva, Hayden Drexler, Nolan Favorite, Quentin Finch, Ava Fontana, Xander Fontana, Eli Glass, Jack Grimes. I'm going to let Mr. Springer catch up. Riley Henning, Tyler Hiltebrandt, Braylon Jimenez, Victor Jimenez, Tatum Millett, Bodie Nee. I know I'm butchering these names. What is it? What is it? Nah, of course it is. Colton Northup, Anderson Parrott, Liam Reardon, Wilbert Rios Lara, Noah Robertson, Lucas Shuck, Paxton Slayton, CJ Smith, Owen Sorensen, Mike Spriggs, Abram Springer, Asen Springer, Brennan Terrell, Tucker Wallace, and Dean Williams. He's got it. Congrats. Congratulations.
It's fine.
we'll give everybody just a second to exit.
Bye, Kinsley, congratulations.
Well, I told him he's got to come in and talk about it.
Okay.
He said he can answer it.
Okay, we're going
I
to
don't
move on
think
to
they have.
public expression, and Mr. Williams, we have no one signed up for public expression. So we'll make note of that. And then we'll move on to action items.
Ready for me?
Ready?
At this time, for action item 13A, we have our fiscal year 25 independent audit and financial report.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm Rene Valadez. I'm a senior auditor or a senior manager with.
Hey, hold on one second. Hey, guys in the back, you don't have to stay here, but you do have to be quiet if you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Rene Valadez. I'm a senior manager with LBMC. I was the manager in charge of the financial audit for the fiscal year 2025 of the district. I'm here to present the results of our audit. In advance, you should have received a couple of items. One of them is the audited financial statements, which includes our audit opinion, which I'll cover first. That is the first page of that item. The first couple of paragraphs detail our opinion, which the district, received an unmodified, or what is normally called a clean opinion. That is the highest level of assurance that an audit firm can provide. At the bottom of the first page, you can see that there was a change in accounting principles. There were a couple of changes that were adopted during the year. One of them had an impact on the financial statements, which had to do with compensated absences. The other one did not have an impact on the financial information. At the top of the second page, you will see that there is a paragraph relating to a correction that was recorded during 2025 for an item that was identified during the year but related to a prior period. On the second paragraph, you can see that we go over we disclose that the financial statements, the preparation and the presentation of these statements is the responsibility of management. Later on, you can see a list of items that represent the auditor's responsibilities. The third page goes over multiple items that are included within the financial statements. So your financial statements include basic statements plus other supplementary information. Just note that some of the supplementary information is not necessarily audited. We provide what's called an in relation to opinion, which means that we ensure that it's related to the financial information but not necessarily audited in the same manner as your basic financial statements. With that, I'm going to jump to page 15, which is the district-wide statement of net position. I just want to highlight the fact that the district has been able to increase its net position by $21 million during fiscal year 25. It's now $141 million. On the following page, page 16, which is the statement of activities, this would be the equivalent of income statement for profit business. There you can see that for the year, there was the $21 million in change in net position, which is an increase in comparison to prior year, which it was only $16 million. On page 17, there's where we present the financial statements based on your fund accounting. I just want to highlight that your general fund currently has a fund balance of $37.6 million. That is a slight increase from prior year, which it was $35 million. All the way to the back of the financial statements, as part of the audit, we also do what's called a single audit, which is the audit of the federal funds that the district spent during the year. On page 93 and 94 is your schedule of expenditures of federal awards. In total, the district spent almost $7 million from federal funds. In 2024, the expenditures were $9.2 million. Decrease has to do with the recovery funds from the COVID years that have run out. In the back, there's a couple other reports that we present as auditors. One of them is over the internal controls over financial reporting. I want to make it clear that we don't actually perform an audit over your controls. However, we are required to disclose any findings that we come across during the audit. We do have a couple of items to discuss, which I will cover them in a minute. There's a second, or in this case, a third report. This one has to do with your compliance over major programs, so your compliance with federal regulation as it relates to funds, federal funds. In our opinion, we found that the district is in compliance, which is good. So every requirement that we tested for federal funding was met by the district. The second item that I want to cover is the required communication by auditors to those charged with governance, in this case, the board. I'm going to jump to page 4. I'm just going to highlight a couple of items. I already mentioned on the top of the page, it kind of goes over the scope of our work. I already mentioned that for the supplementary information, we had limited procedures. Again, management is responsible for the financial statements and for maintaining the internal controls of the district. We have delivered, or we have issued an unmodified opinion on the financial statements as a whole. We did perform other procedures, which are considered non-attest procedures, and we are required to communicate those to you. We assisted with the preparation of the financial statements, and we also assisted with the allocation of the OPEB and pension calculations required by the standards. On the following page, page 5, there are some qualitative aspects that, again, we are required to communicate. Again, management is responsible for selecting the appropriate accounting policies. I mentioned earlier there was a new standard adopted. If you go back to the financial statements and you look at note 15, that is where we disclose the impact of the new GASB statement number 101, compensated absences. We are not aware of any transactions that the district entered into for which there's no guidance or consensus. There are certain portions of the financial statements that are sensitive, specifically related to estimates. You'll see a list of estimates that require judgment of the part of management. I want to highlight the one that we consider the most sensitive, which again has to do with compensated absences that was recorded in the current year. At the bottom of page 5, you can see that we have other aspects of the accounting practice. Another significant disclosure that we want to highlight is the long-term liabilities. That would be note 5. The following page, page 6, in our audit, we did identify some misstatements that management has corrected. However, we are required to summarize those and communicate those to you. There was a misstatement that was corrected related to retainage payable, and that has to do with your construction projects. Another misstatement that was corrected has to do with your capital assets, and that is the recording the projects into your fixed assets once they're completed. Another correction had to do with construction in progress. Again, the district's currently doing a lot of activity in that regard. Then again, there was correction that was made for the construction in progress. And lastly, there was a reconciliation that needs to be done on the due to, do from within the funds of the district. We, on the following page, page 7, we want to highlight we did not have any difficulties in dealing with management. We did not have any disagreements. To our knowledge, management has not consulted with other accountants. If they were to do so, they would have to communicate that to us to ensure that they have all the relevant information. And on page 8, here we highlight some deficiencies that we encounter. And again, they have to do with the same items I mentioned earlier. The corrections on the construction projects, the retainage payable that I mentioned as well, and lastly, the reconciliation of the due to, do from interfund balances. With that, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to.
You're on page
Correct the
8,
person.
is that?
It's in
Of the
it's in
second
attachment.
item.
It's the
There was a
Okay,
second.
I'm like, that's not what page 8 says, but.
Yeah, it's in the attachment.
So the second item that I went through is the client's service communication,
Okay,
It's a 10-page document.
and that is the required communication that auditors have to issue to those charged with governance at the end of
okay,
the audit.
that makes sense, sorry. I thought you were in the book.
I mean, if you want to go through the book.
No, no,
Yeah,
no,
okay,
we're good.
It's a lot of work.
yes, a lot of
It
work,
is a lot
and
of work.
I really appreciate Carrie and her team. It was a difficult year because of the transition of these new GASBs. In addition to the federal government had significant delays in issuing the guidance necessary to complete the single audit.
Thank you so much.
Any questions?
Only just a quick clarifying question. You mentioned in the beginning that this was a clean audit.
Yes.
For those who may not be familiar with that, terminology, would you mind just explaining what that would mean to the public, to our constituents and community?
Yes, so what, an unmodified, which is the technical term, what normally we call a clean audit, means that the financial statements as presented are free of what we call material misstatements. Basically, the amount of work that we've done, which took several hundred hours, supports that the financial information is correct and accurate and complete. So in a nutshell, that's what it means, that the financial statements are accurate.
Thank you.
Good question. Anyone else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Can I say something real quick? I just wanted to thank Carrie for all of the hard work for you and your team. And also too, in February of this year, Dr. Tom Shelton passed away. And I just wanted to take a second to state that he drastically changed the way our district treated our funds and was really instrumental in starting the teacher raises that have been put into place. And Dr. Radford brought Dr. Shelton in, and I cannot underscore the importance of that move by Dr. Radford and how much it has changed our district and how we look at our funds and treat our funds. And Carrie, I know that you worked really closely with Dr. Shelton, and I just wanted to say, wow, you had such a great teacher, and I'm so thrilled that you're here with us now. And we would be remiss if not thank you, Dr. Radford, for bringing Dr. Shelton in and giving our condolences to his family and friends. And he was a fantastic man who was very good at breaking down complex things for us to understand it is the best way I can describe it. And I just really appreciate all of the changes that he put in place for our district. So I just wanted to.
No, I agree. And he, I always say that it was like teaching a college course for all of us. So, and then Carrie, you've followed that wonderfully, so we appreciate you.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to echo the same thing as we're going to not only, getting to know more about our financial position, especially as it compares throughout the state, and getting a report like this. Our reporting is always clear, I feel. It's timely. You're always very responsive and transparent with everything. And I just take the time to highlight that, especially for our community, as districts around the state are under a great deal of scrutiny. And, it's a significant job. These are significant numbers. And so to always have reporting that's clear and has integrity, that's sound, is very much appreciated. So thank you to you and your team.
Need a motion?
Are we doing all of this? I'll do that one separate.
Yeah, we're going to do
Okay.
it separate.
Can I get a motion to approve action item 13A, made by Ms. Shepherd, seconded by Mr. Cedillo? All those in favor? And that's 5-0.
Action item B is just update to policy 09.1222, deals with non-resident students. It's the second reading, and you'll see that the changes from the original is in red. If you all have any questions.
Is that for in-district transfers or just non-residents?
Child of district,
Okay. Any questions on that? Can I get a motion to approve, made by Ms. Hunley, seconded by Ms. Shepherd? All those in favor? And that's 5-0.
Next item is approval of the fiscal year '27 school calendar and then the fiscal year '28 major breaks. I know Mr. Williams is in the back. You want to come up to the podium? Second reading, what we're doing on the school calendar for fiscal year '26-'27. That one, we did make one change to a staff work day and where it was located in proximity to fall break. That was after staff feedback from our road shows. And then also just recognize that those PD days that are loaded in August, those are just placeholders. We actually have content days and the Ignite conference dates that those would actually replace. So those are just placeholders.
Yeah, sorry.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you walk me through the change on fall break for
Yeah.
27? Because that's kind of blowing my mind a little bit.
Yeah,
to be
a couple
honest.
parents reached out to me.
So
It's
a week early.
earlier than it ever has.
For the 27-28 school year.
Yes.
Okay, so what that became was forever, the placeholder for us was the ACT. When the district did the ACT, it had to occur in a certain time window. And so fall break always fell after the ACT. Okay, now we're doing the SAT, which is actually done in the spring. When we polled staff and the calendar committee, and everybody was like, I think it would be okay to move it up a week. And so that's basically what we did. We moved it up 1 week. Also to allow for more time between fall break and then election, and then bam, we're out for Thanksgiving, and then 2.5 weeks later, 3 weeks later, we're out for Christmas. So to give some more instructional time in there, the calendar committee felt that it was advantageous to move that fall break week up 1 week.
Were any parents polled?
We had parents on the calendar committee, and I was told by them that they asked a lot of their friends, and their friends seemed okay with that.
Okay.
Can you weigh in on that, Matt, for the SAT, or how that
That's April, you said?
is that?
When forever we did the ACT that third week of. Yes.
For juniors?
In October.
Okay.
So we stayed
Is
away
that
from it.
something?
We're not doing it anymore?
No, they changed now. The state of Kentucky changed from ACT to SAT.
Right, and so it's taken in October?
April, spring.
The SAT is in the spring
So how does that affect fall break?
because we don't have to have.
Because we don't have the ACT to take anymore.
Oh,
But what?
okay.
We're not taking the ACT? Like,
No. The state of
It's
Kentucky
optional.
changed
You can take it individually.
Okay, but it's mandatory to take the SAT now.
That's right.
Yes, ma'am.
So is the ACT still that date, even though it's not mandatory?
It,
The ACT's on
yeah, it
So
probably
it doesn't
would
have
fall
to be
there.
that October date? Okay.
So the feedback that you've gotten on changing the fall break, is that majority just the calendar committee, or
That was
how was that taken?
staff weighed in. We didn't share the staff survey with parents, but the parents that represent on the calendar committee shared it among their circles and stated that people felt like that was a good move because, and the other reasons that I listed, that we had, at least then, we weren't going fall break 1 week, out for election. That gives us 2 weeks of instruction between fall break and then out for election, and then we're out, again, 2 weeks more, and we're out for Thanksgiving.
To kind of break up the breaks, per se.
Yes.
I had a question. It looks like, is that, were they gonna have, when will school start that year? Because it looks like, will it be like 8 weeks, then they have fall break, then come back for like a 9 week?
We have, so when we set the major breaks, that at least gives parents that here's 2 years down the road, this is what the major breaks are gonna be. When the calendar committee comes together next year to set that calendar, then we'll start looking at where does the first day of school look.
Is it fun? I mean,
You can amend.
I will say, a lot of, we get a lot of complaints about the fact that we're like, God, are they ever in school October, November, and December? I mean, geez. And it does really, because in September, there's only 1 day off. And in August, there's none, depending on when school starts. So it gives that break a little bit sooner. Like Michael said, it does give 2 straight weeks before we have to be off for elections. And then another 2 straight weeks and a couple of days before we're off again for Thanksgiving. I don't know, pushing it back, to me, doesn't make any sense.
There's also a significant, usually, price difference in anywhere you go. Like, the earlier you move it, it's more expensive to go
travel.
traveling. I know in Florida, the prices flip the week that we always do fall break, which is so nice.
I'm just doing the.
What do y'all want to do? Do you want to do the fiscal year, do you want to do the next calendar tonight and then come back to this, the 28 calendar next month? Table the 28, what do you want to do?
I feel like that's a big change that I feel like we need to get a little more feedback on, unless you all feel differently. But I can see us voting on that, and then I don't know how much feedback we got, but
Well, like I had one parent who's an accountant, and he says, I never have spring break, I'm totally fine with it. Because of April 15th, he's like, but I always had fall break, because October 15th is also like a quarterly tax thing or something. So there's some parents who have like made some plans in the past and like it. So I know there's going to be opposite sides.
If there's no sense of urgency, why don't we just take?
Table it for a month and
yeah,
do a survey?
let's see if we can get some more feedback on that, if you don't mind.
That's fine.
I'm happy to do what the majority wants to do, but I have a feeling if we vote on that tonight, then
We're going to amend
we're
it.
gonna
Without
get some
hearing
pushback.
tonight.
We're going to be amending it.
So can we just approve the 2026-27 school calendar?
Yes, you'll need to make a motion to
We'll have to,
split apart the approval. So you'll need to make a motion to approve the fiscal year 27 calendar and table the fiscal year 28 major breaks.
So do we need to turn down C first?
Yes.
motion to approve and say no.
Can I get a motion to approve?
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question first before we do that? So, so I understand, I mean, it's 2 years away. So I'm just trying to figure out how folks don't have time to plan now. But then at the same time, the committee is already done the work to make a determination. And I feel that's their role and responsibility to do. And it does make sense. So what does waiting till next time actually get done?
I think what she's saying is just look at the committee feedback.
Oh, get the feet, got it.
Yeah.
And I think we need to get some additional feedback. The committee,
It's pretty small.
it is, I mean, I respect all the work, I've been on the committee, so I appreciate everything that they do. But feel like we need to get some additional feedback, because I think when I was on it, we only met a couple of times. So I feel like if we're making this big of a change, we should be sure about that it's what the majority wants to do.
So what feedback, like, do you want a survey to go out to staff and to parents, or like what?
You already, did you say you already did a survey with staff?
We did a survey with staff.
So you have that
All the
data?
staff
I have-
in the school, the entire
Every
school?
staff member in the district received the link to take the survey.
And they all were okay with it, or they were just like,
Can you
whatever?
send us the results of that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I think that would be a good starting point.
Okay.
Are you all okay with that?
Do you want do you want a survey to go out to parents?
Let's see what the staff
Okay.
says first, and then we can game plan from there. And then let's set a goal to approve it next month. Does that
Yeah.
work for everyone?
Mhm.
Okay. So can I get a motion to approve action item C, made by Ms. Sheffer, seconded by Mr. Springer? All those in favor?
No.
All those opposed? And that's 5-0. And then can I get a motion to approve? Yep. Can I
Yeah.
get a motion to approve just the 26-27 school calendar that's proposed?
And table the other one.
Yes.
Table the 28 major breaks, 27-28 major
Yes.
breaks. Made by Ms. Sheffer, seconded by Mr. Springer. All those in favor? And that's 5-0. Sorry, I know that was.
It's fine.
I didn't mean for that to be so cumbersome, but thank
All
you
good.
for explaining all of that.
You're welcome.
Last action item is proposal to amend Oldham County Schools Seal of Biliteracy Guidelines, and that is in your attachments. If you have any questions on that, let me know. It's pretty self-explanatory with the description.
Yeah, that,
Any questions on that? Can I get a motion to approve? Made by Ms. Henley, seconded by Ms. Sheffer. All those in favor? And that's 5-0. All right, next up, we will take the information items under consideration.
Yes, you'll see that there are information items for preschool, energy, and then ORR.
I'd also like to say, we got really nice from.
Oh, that was
Locust Grove-
nice.
From Locust Grove Elementary School, we all got invitations to their leadership day, and these are so cute. They're colored on, and they're signed by students.
Very
and
cute.
We all got really nice envelopes that were correctly filled out, which I don't know that my two in high school could
Excellent
probably
penmanship.
do an envelope. But thank you for these. These are fantastic, and look forward to it every year.
It was fun.
All right, you ready for executive session?
Oh, yeah, hold on. Yep, okay.
We're going to roll right into executive session.
Okay.
1 second.
At this time, I need a motion to go into executive session pursuant to KRS 61.810, 1B, C, F through B. Deliberations on the future acquisition or sale of real property by a public agency, but only when publicity would be likely to affect the value of a specific piece of property to be acquired for public use or sold by a public agency. C, discussions of proposed or pending litigation against or on behalf of the public agency. F, discussions or hearings which might lead to the appointment, discipline, or dismissal of an individual employee, member, or student without restricting that employee's, members, or student's right to a public hearing if requested. This exception shall not be interpreted to permit discussion of general personnel matters in secret.